Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to another Quack podcast. I'm your host, Spidercides, and here with me is none other than a friend of mine, Eventual. How's it going, buddy?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
No problem, no problem. I know it's a late one for you. You just got home, and I'm happy that you took the time out of your busy week to come speak with me, man. So it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one, and I'm sure everyone's been excited to hear your voice as well. I've complimented your voice. I think mine's better. Not to brag or anything, but no, I'm just kidding. I think you actually have a good mic, so it's nice. It's refreshing.
I think the podcast host has to have some bravado. That's pretty important.
True. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You know what I mean? But let's give a few shout outs in the chat right here. We got Objection. We actually have the room open. If you want to hang out in the podcast room, you can. It won't show up on the screen. We're going to keep the screen nice and clean with just Eventual and I. It's a screenshot. So, it's a little magic show here. We're hiding what's happening behind the scenes. But shout out to Objection. Shout out to Alfonso. Thank you so much for everyone just coming in and supporting the podcast. I know it's a late one for some of you, but we have a good one here. It's nice to talk to Sulaki members, and I'm happy to announce that Eventual is not a Sulaki member. So he is a community member, but I don't want to introduce you. How about you introduce yourself, Eventual? Tell the people, who is Eventual.
Eventual's embarrassed. I haven't done my arithmancy homework, and Alf is in the door looking at me, probably wondering why I'm doing this instead of participating in Hogwarts.
He messaged me earlier, but I was in a virtual meeting, so he's watching me too.
It's terrible. Somebody messaged me. They're like, "I see you're online. Get to Hogwarts." And I was like, I swear I'm not. I think my computer's just on. I was like, I'm at work. I'm so sorry. No, I've been playing Habbo since 0506. I started originally playing the .co.uk. Um,
Okay.
and then met people there and kind of hopped around. I spent a little bit of time on the .ca hotel, and then I went and spent some time on the .com hotel. But my primary place of residency was the .co.uk um,
Okay.
hotel, and I stopped playing. I stopped playing like 2010, 2011, 2012. And I found out about Origins because I was recommended a YouTube video. You know when people like yourself stream live on YouTube and then
Yep.
you can go back and watch the VOD? I
Yep.
was recommended a VOD of someone playing Habbo Origins, and I saw it and I was like, it's weird that who could imagine that retros still existed? That's like wild to think about in 2024. And then 2 days later, I was recommended it again. And I thought to myself, do I want to like give this another shot? Do I want to look into it? I looked into it. It was real. And then I had a couple, like, I would say maybe a 24-hour period where I went back and forth. I was like, do I want to try this? Do I not want to try it? Because I know what happened to me the first time I logged into Habbo 20 years ago, basically. Like, do I want a repeat of that? And eventually I succumbed to the 20-year-old addiction, and here we are.
Well, welcome to the addiction. I am not your psychologist or your psychiatrist. I'm not any of those things. But no, it's I actually started around the same time, and I know you've listened to my podcast before, so I won't need to repeat my stories. But it's funny that we're both playing a game for this long, and I'll speak for myself when I say this. It's still not a game I would recommend to others. You know what I mean? It's still not there
Completely,
yet.
completely.
And hopefully it will get there, and hopefully Maccable's not listening to this podcast right away. Hopefully he's just watching the recording. But if he's watching it live, I don't think the game's there, and I think he would agree that it's
We'll
not a
talk
game
about
that
it
we
for
would
sure.
talk about. Or it's not a game it's not a game that you would have word of mouth in a positive way.
let's let's hold off on that for like three-quarters of the way through.
Yeah, yeah. And now, when it comes to your journey, when you logged in '05, what is that like one key memory that you remember in either UK or any hotel? Like, what was that memory that stuck with you? Because obviously, with you logging back into Origins, you do have some core memories that that you'll always remember. What are those?
Oh yeah. So ow. Okay. Sorry, I have to shoot the cat. I literally just got home from work. I haven't been home all day, and she's really excited to see me, but she's also chompy right now. Um, so there was a game that used to play. I think it was literally they just called it The Sims, and it would be a room split in half, and you'd roll a hollow dice, and the certain numbers depended, like the certain number that you rolled would be a certain thing. The goal basically was to extend the reach of your side of the room so far over that you knock the other people out. But as you're doing it, you're like filling it with Fernie. And like you'd have a room that would be like six toilets and like a fireplace, you know what I mean? And it would be like a one by one, like super thin little line. But those is a game I've only played on Origins like one time, but I remember playing it and I won and I actually
Okay.
got like my first norm
Which was?
and a blue hyacinth from
Oh,
the
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Christmas line.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I could not purchase credits because I lived in the US and didn't have a UK phone number. So the entire time that I played on .co.uk, I could not, like I couldn't buy Fernie. So everything that I got was from playing games.
You know what? I feel the same way because when I was younger, I would be, obviously I got allowance when I was a kid, and I just want as many of the rares or many of the cool items as possible. And I will admit, and you probably might agree that this game was it launched FOMO for me. It was like the first game where I felt like if I didn't have the cool shit, I was just like not in the cool kids table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was the thrill of the hunt for me. Like
Yeah.
the first time that you would see an item that I've been playing for 2 years and I've never seen that before.
Mm.
How many of those are there? Who else has one? Like kind of getting to like hunt things down, figure out what things are worth, and then of course slowly accumulating your slowly accumulating your Fernie to the point where you might be able to start trading for the things that you want. Back in the day, like I had a friend who had a wall stack in their room that was all the different ICMs, like every
Oh,
color.
nice.
And I was like, that's so sick, which is one of the reasons when like now I bust Dave's balls about us getting a red and a blue cola machine because like I'm trying to do the same thing that I wanted 20 years ago at this point. I'm like, I wanted that wall with all the ICMs. Now that we have all the colas, I'm like, dude, we just need some more primary colors. I want to do the whole wall. Um, I love it.
Well. Speaking of Dave, he's actually listening. He just messaged in the Discord server that he's watching almost live, is what he's saying. So it's shout out to Dave, shout out to Maccabee. Thank you for supporting and watching this podcast episode, and obviously other episodes that you've listened to. So shout out to the developer, the person that's working, working for a career for a game that should require more people to support it. You know what I mean? So shout out to him.
Yeah.
It's kind of unreal, like to see this game take a different path as well, right? Like we'll always remember, our original history in '05. In my opinion, '05, I'll never forget. Like between '05 and 10, that was a fun 5 years. You know what I mean? I'll
Oh
never
yeah.
forget those
Oh yeah.
years. Who was your favorite
I
staff member back in the day? Like who's the one that like stood out to you?
just purely due to time zone differences,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to wake up at like, I mean, like it was last year here. I'd have to wake up 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. to be able to participate in those.
Mm-hmm.
So I really didn't. Of course, like Eon is the most
Iconic, yeah.
Nostalgic for me. Yeah, the most
Yeah.
iconic, of course. But yeah, I do
Yeah.
want to say two things real quick while we're on the
Yeah.
topic before we pivot.
Yeah, of course.
A, shout out Dave, like a legit thank you. Um, we've started having this conversation as a community a little bit more regularly since the Steam launch, where that influx of players, people really are not aware that this is literally like a one man band passion project. Um, I think a lot of the qualms or frustrations that new players run into may be soothed a little bit if they realize that it's like literally like one guy.
Yeah, honestly, true. I
um,
see that a lot. Wait, there's only one person? Yeah. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Not to diminish the work, the contributions of Matthew and Proxy and Goob and the other people that we know who have been spending their own free time to make the game a better
Hmm.
environment for us.
Yeah, shout out to them.
But I think the point still stands. Um, so I had mentioned to you right when we got started that you and I started having a conversation about doing a podcast about 2 weeks ago,
Hmm.
and I've written down a ton of stuff that I'd love to talk about, primarily because I think the best word is like I'm voracious for a genuine conversation about where we're at with the game. Unfortunately, I don't think that Discord as a format really allows for those sorts of conversations to take place, especially not in the Origins general chat. So,
Yeah, you don't say.
y-
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
like, no offense to anybody, but it's not happening there.
Hmm.
Um, and when we started talking 2 weeks ago, I genuinely had a very different opinion and a very different feeling than I do right now.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's I hope that in us having a conversation that I can kind of work through that a little bit, because I do think it's odd that my just the gut feeling has shifted so much in such a short period of time. Which I think is astounding because we're coming off the back of what I would say are the best 2 months that we've had in Origins. Um,
Hmm. I agree.
I loved the Harvest event. Loved, 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 loved. Damn, it was so much fun, dude, and it was so pretty. All of the new items. Shout out Goob again, the goat, dude. Like
Oh
Amberwood is
yeah.
amazing, so
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
Absolutely hit the nail on the head with what a new line for Origins could and should be. It fits perfectly. Lodge is nostalgic, but it's something new. It breathes a new life into it. Phenomenal. The trees, all the harvest color trees, beautiful.
Amen.
The way in which
Yep.
you get them, phenomenal.
You know, for me, the
I
fall trees, like the original trees were nice, but the fall trees, oh my
Yeah,
god, man, that killed that. That was amazing.
the colors are phenomenal, and it's great to be able to play in building a room and having such a wide palette. Like you had mentioned kind of this idea about Origins beginning to shift into something new,
Hmm.
breaking
Yeah.
away from modern and becoming its own thing. And maybe we'll start there. Like, I have had to stop myself in the past in the Discord talking about RuneScape because I believe that it is like the most direct comparable
Hmm.
for these sorts of massively online live service games. We're at a point now where this is for anybody that doesn't play old school and doesn't play 07scape. The game is completely diverged from RuneScape 3, and they've been developing new content for it and taking it in a new direction. Um, so now, old school and modern are two completely separate games. They have very similar cores, but the amount of content and the style of content varies very, very vastly. And in such, the developers are able, two separate development teams are able to create things for two completely separate consumer bases. And I feel like if Origins is going to continue to not only sustain itself, but to grow, we need that. And I know that most of the most of our level-headed friends agree, but there are still a surprising amount of people who are staunchly against it, and that's very surprising to me.
Yeah, I think some people might just hold on to those old memories, but I'll be honest, I think a lot of people don't exactly remember how the game used to be. You know what I mean? And not even just Origins. I mean like the '05 to 10 era. I think they remember a couple things, but I don't think they understand the differences between that culture that we had and what we have now, and understanding what era we're in, right? And I think when it comes down
Yeah.
to it, I think RuneScape is a hot topic where people compare it. I also think Discord is a hot topic where they compare the chatting of a video game of this nature to a software that kind of just makes everything so easy to communicate with one another, which is technically what you and I are using literally right now. And when it comes to this world of this game heading to that newfound direction, I think it's exciting. And that's why for me, I've always been the person like I don't really care about chatting with people in the game, to be straight up. I want to do stuff. I want to build things. I want to host things. I want to get excited when I come online when there's something new to chase or new to do, right? And I think that's the exciting part about this game, which is I think what RuneScape started doing later on is to do a lot more skill-based activities, right? And I think by having a game
Yeah.
like this, like gardening, like Harvest Grounds, Dave knows this, and hopefully he'll laugh when he hears this. But I was a gardening hater. Like I didn't think it would actually going to do
I
well,
know it surprised the shit out of me, dude.
right? I
It's
was
like
I
there's
was
no
vocal
way
about it.
Spider isn't stoked.
Yeah, so I was just like, no, I don't like it. I think like, why would I do it? But my issue was I had the mindset of fishing, where like it doesn't feel rewarding enough for me. It just feels lonely and boring. But gardening, it shifted, man. Honestly, I agree with you. It was awesome. Like it was perfect. It was a nice leveling system as well. Like you felt rewarded. It wasn't overly difficult, where you're spending months at a time. You know what I mean? A game like this, you
Yeah,
shouldn't
definitely.
need to invest so much time for one sole activity. What you want is something that feels rewarding every single time that you come on. And the best part is you're leveling and you get to keep what you're making, which is those plants. Like that's sick, you
Yeah.
know?
It's it's awesome for quite a few reasons. I feel like I'm gonna get scatterbrained because I just love all of this so much that I want to like highlight all of the things that I'm really like stoked about.
Mhm.
Um, we talked about the Harvest Fest. It gave me a reason as a player already at level 99 to re-engage with the
Yes.
skill, which
Mhm.
is brilliant. Um, I love the idea that you as a free player can join the game, spend no money, and be able to furnish a room through fishing and farming. I think that's incredible. It's very rewarding. I think fishing is way too slow. I was not here for the first 2 weeks when everybody was getting to 99 like wildfire. Um, I think it's way too slow now. But I think when I finally reach 99 or whenever I get my fishing badge, it'll be like
Mhm.
totally worth it. I'm glad that you've come around. I'm
Yeah,
really
I,
glad that
I
you've
I've
come
I've
around.
heard I've heard that from a few people. They're like, okay, nice. Spider actually likes this. Like a lot of people think I'm a bit of a shill because I don't bitch as much. I do the classic, and I'm known for this now, which is the popcorn emoji or the the judging
Yeah.
emojis with the peepo, and I'm just like drinking my coffee, having my popcorn, because I don't really like I don't wake up invested in negativity. I have a busy life where I travel the world, and I take my work very seriously, and I don't want to come during my free time to a bunch of negative aura around me. You know what I mean? And when it came to like Discord, I wanted to be honest with my feedback with gardening, and thankfully I've come around because I was just like, yeah, that was sick. And the best part is like what you said, like getting to level 99. I thought it was done. I thought it was like, okay, what's the point? Why am I gonna do this anymore. And knowing that the harvesting grounds and that event, that was sick and that was exciting and that was different, and there was new items to chase even for the Halloween items as well, like that pumpkin duck. That was awesome. Like, it was different. It was felt refreshing. And if Dave had more support, I could only imagine where this game can go to. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of skill based activities.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head when you said that the nature of video games, chat room based, virtual avatar games is different now than it was in '05, '06, '07 when Habbo was first starting and then getting really, really popular. You have to consider what the kind of like competitors that were around at the time were, right? Like you had AOL, you had MSN Messenger, right? So
Mm-hmm.
1997, 1999, Skype launched in 2003, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of very similar sort of applications, right?
100%.
Straight user to user, peer to peer direct messaging. Habbo had something very, very unique, right? The ability to exist in a space and look at the people in which you're communicating with. Um, which is something that I think now that people are, jacking straight into VR chat and having like the next level of that communication, um, we're we're not putting as much stock in this sort of 2D,
Mm-hmm.
virtual game. So yes, to your point, it is way easier to have conversations on Discord. And
Yeah.
I did hold off on joining the Discord originally for maybe 2 or 3 months,
Mm.
just because I was like, this is so stupid. Can't you guys see that this is detracting from the game? Less conversation is happening in the game because it's all happening here. And that was my point of view originally. And now I've restructured. I do see it the same way you do. Um, for the game to continue to grow, it does need to establish its own footing and become something different, right?
Right. Yep.
Um, and so the introduction of the skills and having something to work on, having a reason to engage with the game, I think is perfect. I think it's perfect.
It's also about word of mouth at the end of the day, right? When it comes to any video game, you want that word of mouth. You want the community to get excited about different things and talking about it, right? Unfortunately, there comes time to time where there is a negative hot topic, obviously, right? And obviously, everyone feeds off that energy sometimes. But when it comes to Discord, I personally I like it, and the fact that Dave is willing to get brutalized in a chat with totally different personalities of all ages, just kind of hounding him with different questions like we always do. It's nice that we have someone developing the game where we can somewhat impact the structure or kind of let him know when there's issues, because that is unlike a lot of different games. Like, personally, I'm also an official creator for Bungie when it comes to Destiny 2. And
Mm-hmm.
when I create content for them or when I talk to those staff members, as a regular community person that's not a creator, that is very difficult to achieve, right? You got to be really invested in the community in order to earn
Yeah.
that discussion with them. Whereas here, you have a Discord where this one man show is communicating and talking, and he's literally watching this live, and that's cool. You know what I mean? That's different. And that's why I can't like, I can't hate on him or like bitch about him all the time. Although he should read my DMs, just to point out there. But I understand like he cares, and it's like, and I also understand from the corporate side as well, right? Like I work for a very large company, and when it comes to this culture of having a community of very passionate people, there's a very distinct element of being very careful with how you launch certain things. And obviously, we're going to be polling a lot of different things upcoming, like the Habbo Exchange, which I believe is starting tomorrow. And I believe having a very distinct community of all different types makes this very challenging. But in a way, I think that maybe is what gets Maccabee excited. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, I can kind of shake the way Habbo is normally viewed and turn it into something very special,
Sure, sure.
right? And I think when it comes to
Um,
skill games itself, I think that's the approach we got to take. I think the chat room, and I'm glad you came around when it came to Discord. I think Discord could be that nice little source of, communication and reaching a developer. But the game, I think I'm excited to see what the next skill is going to be, right? Or what the next exciting experience that is going to make you come online next.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of people joke about the uh oh darn, I should have had it pulled up where they're digging like fossils out of the ground.
Oh, Goobs, she designed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I would
Hmm.
play that.
Yeah.
I think the next step, and Dave, please don't roll your eyes at this. I think the next step is like the introduction of more mini games within the games. So like if you scavenged a tablet, one would be you dust the tablet off. The next one would be
Hmm.
you've got a broken chip and you have to reattach it or whatever, so that the process is a little less repetitive. You're not doing those same uh, catch the golden fish that's impossible to catch left right mini game every
Hmm.
time. It can be a little different. But I'd play it. Give me any skill in this game. I'll sink my time into it.
Absolutely. I'm in full agreement. And I'm a personal, like, personally, I'm excited for what we can do to change other games that we currently have, like Battle Ball and maybe Snowstorm in the future. Because personally, I'm a tournament hater. I hate the tournament with a passion. I think I don't think it's structured well, unfortunately, especially with a very small community that we have. So aside from skill-based games that I'm excited, if we get a fossil thing like that Goob design, awesome. I'm here for it. But if we can also still not forget about those original games that we know and love and turn it into something really special that you can grind your teeth into, I'd love a battle pass. And I know Ryjax just posted an
Yeah.
image earlier today, like he designed something that's cool. But this has been something that's been talked about for over a year. And I remember bringing it up last year, saying that like we need something that gets people online, and how to do that is a chase, is like earning something, it's doing something, right? And
Yep.
especially with that small community, when it comes to a small community like what we have, a lot of the games you're playing is solo based. You're not really doing a lot of things with each other. But imagine you have a challenge and tasks with each other as a community in Battle Ball and Snowstorm, and then that could just take it to a whole new height.
I loved the idea of the battle pass. I just pulled Ryjax's up.
Hmm.
I know that I mean, we as the community have been talking about it for a while now, a
Oh
couple
yeah.
months. It's an awesome idea, but it's the conversation would be how do you structure it for a large enough period of time, right? So that it's not Dave spending 6 months of dev time on it for it to run for 3 weeks, right? It has to be,
It has to be like a season. It has to be long, like a couple months.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Yep.
it's so now, no matter how many nameplates, badges, Fernie items, stamps, whatever that you throw at the player, how do you then keep someone engaged with doing the same piece of content for that long?
Hmm.
So that honestly could be its whole own separate conversation.
Oh,
But I do
100%.
think
And
that the
and
battle pass would be perfect.
I think we need it at the end of the day, because when it comes to a tournament, it's too dependent on two things. Number one, people, and number two, time. And some people don't have time, and some time zones don't have people. And that's the two
True,
factors that
especially
make
with
the battle ball. Like that's the biggest example. Like every single tournament has failed, right? And those are the two biggest factors when it comes to that experience. And when it comes to having a battle pass, you kind of put the control back to the community's hands, where they're going to be doing their own challenges and doing different things to level up a battle pass or complete daily tasks or whatever the case may be to earn cool cosmetics, or a cool Fernie item. Or like imagine you're earning different pieces of items, like fossils. Let's say you're earning pieces, you're earning bones, whatever. Obviously, that wouldn't make sense for Battle Ball, but bear with me. But let's say you're earning bones and you
The
craft,
bones of your enemies.
yeah, you craft. Let's say you get a lot of bones and you create your own bone dragon. Like you have bone Fernie, and it turns into something when you get all these pieces. Kind of like what we've done here with the map. You get all these fragments, and then it turns into something. And I think that's the exciting part. Is we are all completionists, and I think that's why we like this game. Is we like to have that chase, but we also like to feel rewarded at the same time. And if you can tackle both
Definitely.
those, it's huge, huge.
The balance on that is difficult because I do think that in order for people to do the marathon and not just the first sprint, is that players want to feel like the time that they're investing is worth something. So if we go and immediately make all of the Fernie that comes from whatever we do next untradeable, people aren't going to engage with it as much
Hmm.
as they would have if there was some sort of proposed trade value for the items in the future. So I know
So
that we've
So to
pulled it
touch on
multiple
that,
times, but
just for a quick sec, I like that topic when it comes to tradable Fernie and non-tradable Fernie. Such a hot topic. Now here's how I would personally impact that. When it comes to activities like the fragments, it's too easy for someone to bot or do it solo. It's too easy, right? Which is why it should have been non-tradable. However, when it comes to an activity like a battle ball or even snowstorm, I would shape it where in order to level up or in order to get things done, you need to do things. You have to do something. It can't be something that you're just sitting around. You know what I mean? And the best part about it,
completely agree.
no one would alt that because you're just hurting yourself because you're getting basic stuff in the beginning of a battle pass. If there's a lot of cool things at rank 100 in a battle pass, no one's going to use an alt because they're like, I want to get to rank 100. And how do I get there? I got to do things in the game. I have to throw 100 snowballs today, or I have to win 10 matches, or I have to win 3 matches in a row, or whatever the case. And if he improves the matchmaking system as well, to work with different time zone, maybe be more region specific, whatever the case may be, to improve on that, to limit the chances of people utilizing alts, or also implementing something to ban people that are cheating, then you can call it a day. And I think that is something they can sink their teeth into. But again, that is something Dave can figure out and see what can and can't work. But I do think a battle pass of that nature would be so exciting. I know I would do it, hands down.
I think you're on the right track. I know that Dave is certainly having uh, conversations with himself about how to stop the kind of mass botting or mass alting of the events that give Fernie away for free.
Hmm.
And it was really, 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 really interesting going from the Steam boxes to the Neopets boxes. The Steam boxes was the first grotto that I was active for. I took a break last year. As you know, some people know,
Hmm.
I moved across the country this year, and basically I stopped doing right before the DJs. It's like 2 days before the DJs came out. I like literally uninstalled everything that was fun, just because I needed to focus on work, stack my money up, and get my shit straight so that we could move. And then once I moved and got settled, I came back, which was 2 or 3 days after the balloons stopped getting given out for anniversary. So to say, Steam boxes was my first grotto,
Hmm.
and I really did not have a problem personally with logging in every 3 hours to get my box. It was kind of nice for a while. If I had an opening shift, I'd wake up early, make sure that I had 5 minutes to log in and grab my box.
Hmm.
Come home, log in, grab my box, say hello to everybody. It was kind of fun. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But as I was doing it, I was starting to see the users whose names were just full strings of numbers, and you know, Spidercides 1 was there, Spidercides 2 was
Whoa,
there,
whoa, 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 whoa! How do you
and
call it? How did you know? How do you? How did you know? How did you know?
um, nah, but I got to see some of that happening, and then when we switched to November in the Neopets boxes, I was thinking to myself like, wow, what an incredibly fast pivot to an incredible way to keep players engaged while also making it more difficult to take advantage of it. I have no problem personally running around picking up some bags. Sometimes if there's people competing with you, you can't get it in 1 hour, you have to get it in the next hour. You have to play the game a little bit. You hop into a public room, you say hi to somebody. Maybe you see someone that you respect and you let them have the room. That sort of social element is still there. But then you do something in order to get the box versus just trading an NPC. That's all awesome. I love
Yeah,
the fact that it's time gated because then you have to be there. Um, and having to engage with the map in a competitive way means that it's harder to, at the end of the 10-minute sprint, it's harder to get all the bags. So it actually cuts down on how easy it is for people to take advantage of it. Then you throw in the fact that you can only get one a day, and it was fascinating to see how quickly the iteration happened because I was like, whoa, it's like we got that shit locked in. That was really, really smart.
yeah. I was a huge fan of the Neopets. The only thing that I am negative about the Neopets event, the only thing, is the lack of other events, other things. Obviously, we just got a room competition, so that's awesome. But there wasn't anything to kind of sink your teeth into. And unfortunately, obviously, Alexander was on vacation, so he's part of obviously the live ops side. Creator Circle can't do anything without Alexander, anyways. And unfortunately, we kind of hit a standstill. And also, Dave went on vacation for a week. He was off, right? So we didn't really have anything really going for Neopets. I would have hoped for maybe a pixel art competition, maybe something, I don't know, something different, something new, something refreshing that I can't even think about. So that's one
Definitely.
thing. But I do agree with you. I do like that it was different. It wasn't the same old log in, grab a box, log out type of thing. And I don't actually personally, I don't blame people for using alts anyways, because when it comes to any video game, if you are there to try to sink your teeth into and get some items and try to get as much as possible, you're going to maximize your time, right? And what Dave needs
Yeah.
to figure out is how do you improve the time investment for players so that way they don't feel like they need to go on alts, right? And that's a hard thought process in general.
Interesting.
Because I'm not gonna lie, with the Neopet side, I can see why a lot of people alted in general because maybe they're fighting in their time zone. Maybe it's too difficult for them to get those bags and they're not playing hours in a day and maybe they're missing that day. And now they're like, you know what? I'm just going to go on an alt in order to increase my chances. I can see that. And that's why I don't hate on it because I get it. I understand. The botting is the part that I'm not thrilled about with when people use that. The alting, I'm not because you still have to put the effort. You still got to put the time. The
Sure.
botting, it's kind of running its own thing, right? So when I'm facing an alt, I don't give a shit because 1v1 me, let's go. Let's grab these bags. Or we'll be cordial and you grab 15, I grab 15, and we call it a day, right? But I'm
Yeah.
hoping for the next event in December, I don't want to see another grotto. And maybe that's a hot take, but I want us to step away from the grotto scene and think of something new. Because I don't want an event to feel stale and repetitive and feel like there is no creativity anymore, where it's just like the same thing every time. And considering we've basically had two similar grotto events back to back now, and we also had those balloons out in the summer during the anniversary, I think for this time for Christmas, I want to see an advent calendar. I want to see 25 days of something. Like each day is an activity that you have to do something and make it a non-tradable, whatever you got to do, but make it fun. Make it like you got to do things. Like, for example, day one, collect 15 stars in public rooms. Day 2, dance in a friend's room for 30 minutes. Day 4, go to the game hall and play in a games room for 1 hour. Whatever, right? Make it fun, make it engaging, make it so that way people have a reason to come online and also do different things and then earn something for their time invested every single day with an advent calendar style. And obviously, deciding on 25 gifts is no easy experience, but if you could pull that off, you've created something very special, very different, and also engaging for one full month.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably a little it's probably a little
It's
too
heavy.
short notice
Well,
if that's
yeah.
not already happening. But if we have to introduce the Penguins into the game, which I personally am not a fan of, I hate them. Uh,
Really? There's
it's like my
wait, why?
yeah,
Why?
they're my second favorite animal in real life, but I think they're so tacky. Like I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. They they suck.
Okay,
I
hear
have
me
the
out. Hear
full
me out.
set on modern. Like I've got the full set on modern. I'm not here for it.
Okay, hear
But
me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. All right. What if we have a Dave penguin? The penguin looks like Dave, and then we're good. We got
and
an we got
so you
one
get that
penguin.
on Christmas or on Christmas
Yeah,
Eve?
exactly. You get it on Christmas Eve, right? But okay. But jokes aside, the idea. What if you can design your own penguin? So what if like you earn a base penguin and the more you're playing different activities in the game, you're earning cosmetics for the penguin. And then you could dress up that penguin in a room. Come
Oh,
on, bro.
okay, that would be cute.
That'd be
That
different,
would be
right?
fun.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. I would make mine look like Cadillacs.
Yeah, like however you want, you
That'd
earn
be so
clothing.
sick.
Wouldn't that be see that? And that's why, like, I'll be honest.
Okay.
So I personally think what would benefit Dave is having a team, having a council. You know what I mean? Having like different opinions, all sides of the world, right? Have people like you, you know, from the States, have me from Canada, having someone from Europe, having someone from Brazil, wherever, Australia, you know, and having people come all together to provide their own opinion, but keep it small, keep it like 6 people, 8 people max, and allow Dave to hear out different ideas or allow them to bring in ideas from the community. Because this idea that I just pulled out, by the way, just now out of thin air, because I just thought about it, what if we were to present that to Dave and be like, hey, Dave, is this something like this possible? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it with the community and see what they think. And it's like a more of a team effort rather than post it the feedback. You don't know if it's being read. Everyone's reacting to it. And then it's kind of like a waiting game because we
Yeah,
don't know
I agree.
what's I don't know what's happening next month other than the fishing, obviously in the private rooms. But do you know what's happening in January? No. Do you know what's happening in February? No. But it'd be
No.
kind of cool if we had like people invested to support Dave in a different way, right? I also think he
I
needs
agree
beta
completely.
tests. Sorry.
Sorry, you go ahead and then I'll.
Oh, and I was also going to say, along with that, I also think these people could be beta testers as well, because I think some of the updates that he does, maybe they can test before it goes live. I think that'd be kind of huge. I was able to beta test the Steam client before it was officially released, and it was cool. Like just to message Dave and let him know, like, here's the issues I've caught, here's what I've seen, and then that way he can tackle that. So I'm thinking like both sides where he can get support and then we can kind of get the game we're all wanting, which is, you know, obviously we're here because we enjoy it, or at least we know what it's capable of. But I'll let you jump in
I
here.
think I think there's a lot of people. You and I both know a handful of people, and anybody who's listening, names will come to mind in their heads too. We know people that love this game, and there are people that only want to see it grow, that only want to see it do better in regards to having more people playing it, having it be more active. And of course, hopefully, reaching the point where there can be multiple team members on the Sulake side that contribute to it. So it's not all the weight of it isn't just on one person. Um, I think the idea of a group like that is brilliant. I was wondering why we hadn't reached a point yet where we have the term in Discord, but it's not the same. I
Mm,
feel like we could really benefit with a community manager, and they exist in other live service games, they exist in other MMOs to kind of be a liaison between the community and the developers, the
mhm.
communities and whether it's the stakeholders or whoever is in charge of calling the shots as to what will and won't happen. I think that that's a role that could benefit the game really, really well. I
I
know we're
agree.
kind of waiting to see how things shake out with the news that we got about some of the modern BR staff um, being
Yeah, the
shifted, their
new.
roles being shifted. I
Yeah.
know we won't know for a while kind of what that looks like. Um, but this whole idea of like a community manager started for me when we were standing in line for a staff event. And when you're in line for the staff event, everybody's complaining about the alts. And if you play the game regularly, you can look at the line and know who the alts are. And I don't want to name any names, but like there are some names that you only see during the staff games. And I feel like, yes, I understand that it is difficult for to log in, somebody on the staff side, like Alexander, to log in, keep the game running, playing the game, ensuring the game is moving while writing down all the winners and getting everything like lined up on that end. It's difficult for them to also, while they're doing that, look at the line and be like, okay, that's an alt kick, that's an alt ban, that's an alt kick. Um, so I think having a community manager would be phenomenal, especially in instances like that where sure it's a 75 cap room and now you can only have 73 people because you have two staff members in there, but
Hmm.
one of the people is somebody who you know plays the game, knows the players, and can look and see that there's seven alts in a row and just kick from room, kick from room, kick from room, kick from room. That person hasn't moved in 4 minutes, they're sitting in a pod, nobody can move forward, kick from room. It kind of frees up the Sulake staff member to just run the game and ensure that it's going as well as possible. And it would keep things moving. I know it would make a ton of players happy. But also, like, if there was a small group of players that could gather up feedback and bubble it to whoever is in charge of making the decisions, I think that would be brilliant. Because, not for nothing, there is actually a ton, a ton of good feedback in the Discord. And you're absolutely right. Some things have 20, 25, 30 upvotes,
Hmm.
but there's no way to know if anybody's actually seen it or
Or if
if
it's gonna
the
happen.
developers are
Hmm.
finding it valuable. Is this something we want on a roadmap? We were talking about the area bookcase today. In the most polite way, let's just do it. Like, yeah, we want it. Can we please have it? Um, I know off the top of my head, three really talented sprite artists that could make it happen. And then if we need, if it's not just its own item added to it, make it so that you double click on the bookshelf and the state changes. We have a lot of
Mm,
Fernie that have a lot of
that'd be
states in
nice.
them. Look at all of right? Look at all of the farming items that we have now that didn't exist
True.
before. People
True.
know how to make it happen for the limitations that we have, right? Playing on this old game. Like we can make it happen. We should make it happen. But also like Jaguar's idea of the books that you can write little notes on so that you can have notes in rooms where the walls are covered or in a horizon room. Brilliant. Bring it to the game. Like
Hmm.
let's just
I
do
like
it.
that. Yeah, I like that a lot. I love that idea because it makes it different. It's unique, right? And I like the idea of having a community manager because it's that bridge between community and developer, right? Because let's face it,
Yeah.
Dave is gonna miss a couple things. I think what did I mention today that he said he didn't see feedback about it. Man, there's something that I had said the other day. I'm like, hey, did you see this? And he said no. he didn't think he did. And I think that's why a community manager is definitely valuable, because they can note down the most popular feedback that's really getting people to talk about it, and going, hey, Maccabee, let's have a weekly one-on-one for an hour, and let's talk about these things and see what can and can't work. And let's talk to the community and let them know, you know what? Hey everyone, this idea, we're looking at it right now. No details to come, but we'll keep you updated. A month later, we're going, hey everyone, so this is something in the roadmap. Or hey everyone, this is actually not going to fit our bandwidth, unfortunately. We'll keep this noted down maybe for a future where we have the time that we can invest in something like this. We like the idea, but just not right now. It's not the right time. Like something like that, I think people would feel not only the value behind someone in that status, but also I think the community would feel like they're being listened to.
It springboards onto one of the greatest opportunities that I see for Origins as a whole, which is communication. You have to be in the Discord. You literally have to be in the Discord to understand what's going on. If you're not checking it religiously, you're not going to get all the updates. You're not going to get all of the news. The amount of times where I log in the morning, check Discord, and then I get in the game and I'm getting DMs about an update where people are asking questions, and I'm like, well, if you just would read the Discord, you would know. Um, One of the things that I think that we're really lacking right now that would truly believe would improve player retention would be drilling in the communication. I think we need more posts on the Habbo website with here's what's going on. Like it, some things that come to us only through Dave or other staff members on Discord. Simple, like like simple FAQs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
the harvest event comes out. People are wondering the last two pumpkins. What are these being used for? People are
Mm-hmm.
wondering how do you get the autumn trees, right? The next day, here's a Q&A written by the community manager. Hey guys, like so stoked that you are enjoying the event. We've been thrilled to see everybody's reaction. We've had a ton of people asking questions all over the place, so I'm going to come through right now and answer them for you. Yes, you can get autumn trees. They're dropping. It's random. It's supposed to keep you engaged. Yes, the two pumpkins that you don't see a use for, they're used for something coming up. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe you should keep your eye on them. I literally screenshotted a Discord comment from Dave saying, "What if they were used for something else?" Or what if you need? Well, I forget what his wording was. What if you needed to use them for something? And I was like, okay,
I
cool.
remember that.
There's going
Yeah.
to be a reason to have them. And so then people, unfortunately, some of the Habbo players, when things don't make sense to them immediately, they start to poo poo on stuff. And there's a bunch of people just kind of poo pooing on the pumpkins that didn't have an obvious immediate use.
Right.
So I think having somebody who's tapped into the community that can then take all that info and then post it to an official channel so that people can see it, sooner rather than later, I think would be great. Segueing onto that, we have 4 different places where communication for Habbo is shared. It should all be streamlined. It should just go everywhere. If you pull up Origins on Steam, the last post was October 21st. Loot event, 7 days of
Mm-hmm.
Origins.
Yep.
If you go to the Habbo Origins community tab on the website, we have had posts November 28th, November 25th, November 24th, November 21st, November 14th, November 14th, November 11th, November 7th, November 4th, November 4th, November 3rd, 3rd, and then a different post on the 31st, a different post on October 29th. Like, all of that could be on all of these places. I think there's a huge opportunity because when you launch Steam, if you play other games, there's a bar that runs at the top of your library that says, "What's new?" I'm going to read you mine. What's new today? Posted by Terraria, a game that's been out for what, 14 years. Terraria State of the Game November 2025. I didn't know they were still developing the game. Guess what they are, and there's a huge update coming. Then the next one is Arena Breakout Infinite. Winter Festival begins. Literally today, they just dropped a new event. And I'm literally learning about it because when I launched Steam to come on to launch
It
Origins,
pops up.
it's there
Yeah.
at the top of my bar.
Yep.
Every single thing that gets posted to the Habbo website could then be doubled over here. It's going to grab people's attention. Those of us who use Steam for other games might like that reminder. There are people who joined for Steam that aren't playing anymore that will see an update about something new that's coming to the game through this feed. And they're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to give that a shot again. Maybe now would be a cool time. Or, oh, I wonder if those people I met playing Falling Fernie are still playing. And they'll come back. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
value in getting that all lined up so that it comes through the same channels. Like all the channels get all the information, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think I definitely want to tackle a few of the things you mentioned. I agree with the Steam. I see even updates from Marbles because obviously I use that game from time to time when I stream to
Yeah.
give things away, and they have updates on Steam that pop up, and I go, "Oh, cool! They have a new Marble, or they have a new this, or a new map, or whatever." And I completely agree. And I'll be honest with you, I think that is a completely valuable because people that say the game is dead, they're technically wrong, but is the game as fully invested with tons of things going on? No, right? But is the game completely dead? No, but it feels dead because there's no communication. There's nothing happening on a consistent basis. Obviously, we got a podcast here going on, and that's exciting, and the community here is watching and listening. And shout out to everyone lurking in the background. But I do agree with you that there needs to be ongoing communication, posting things everywhere. Because I'll be honest with you, there's people that ask the same questions over and over and over again. And you're
And
right. If you
over and over.
and if you're not in the Discord, you're not lucky. And for someone like me who is chronically in the Discord, um, yeah, am I wrong? Am I wrong? I'm not wrong, right?
No,
So,
you're right.
yeah,
You're
right.
right.
I'm chronically on there, but I'm on there because I just want to help people, and I'm invested in the community itself. Right, I'm invested in
Yeah.
Ducky World, which I help manage. I'm invested in the games Discord, and even some other community developed ones as well. And if you are not in there, you just won't know what's going on. So I personally add more time to being there to not only know what's happening, but also be there to help others as well, or to transition that information to another server like Ducky World, who doesn't have
Yep.
Dom, like doesn't have like Dave, like actually like putting things in there, right? So he's putting everything and all those crucial, cool information in the Origins Discord, and I think that's the part that I agree with you that we're just missing. I think two things I would definitely change is number one, if they don't have the bandwidth, I think it's time to trust time to trust some community members, like
Have to.
like anyone, like even the hubbas. And I know I say hubbas weird for anyone listening. I get it. That's a joke in its own way. But when it comes to the hubbas on the team, I personally think the team is still too small. I'll say it right now. It is too small and it's not covering enough time zone. Like yours and my time zone, I think it's only Speedy right now. And that's it. So you have one side of the world that gets literally barely enough support on that front. Number two, you don't have enough people on the Discord moderation. The craziness that happened that other day where Wowen had to jump in at late in his day to ban people that were arguing with each other. You know, like we need also support on that front, and then you need the Steam. You need to give and trust people, even like 2 to 3 people, or even one person rather, from the community that will just copy and paste the article from the Origins
Yep.
website and place it in Steam. Give them admin access, call it a day. Make your life easy. There's someone out there, even I wouldn't mind helping. Like there's people out there that are down to do it. Just trust them.
Yeah.
Just give
Yeah.
just
I'll
give
do it. I'll
access
do it
them.
right now.
There you go, right? Like
Here's the
Eventual
thing.
is down, easy.
If you exclusively get your information about Habbo through Steam, and you're not in the Discord for whatever reason, you're not thinking to check the website for whatever reason, there's been 22 posts to the community tab on the Habbo Origins website that have not been posted to Steam. If you were a Steam exclusive player, you would be correct in thinking that the game is dead because there
Mm-hmm.
hasn't been an update pushed to you. Yeah, if you log in, you can check the bulletin, and I love the bulletin, and it's brilliant. But
You got to be in the game.
let me ask you a question. How
Hmm.
many more minutes do we have? Because there's still some stuff I want to touch on.
We can do another hour. We're good.
I would I want to have a conversation, and I really I want to hear what you have to think about it. So let me rock. Is it cool if I rock for a moment?
Let's rock. Let's do it.
So I had a conversation in a Discord a while back when people were complaining about Noko. Primarily the fact that they couldn't afford to trade for the items that Noko wanted in order to get what he had. And there is a idea that exists
Okay.
in game dev, almost exclusively for live service games, where content is catered specifically for the top 10 or 5% of spenders in that game. The terminology is whale, right? So in every MMO that you play, there are people who are willing to spend more money in a single week than most players will spend in an entire year. And for those games that need that money to keep running, they're going to cater their content to those players. Now, let me preface, I did see Dave's message today. Let me preface, I did see Dave's message today where he said that things do not change for him. He said, I literally don't get paid any differently whether you guys spend money or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's take that. We've seen it. I've said it. Noko is content that is not created for you, the general you. Noko is content that was not created for the general player. There are some ways in which a standard player could engage with Noko. You see everybody that has 3 bluebird baths go and trying to sell them for 2 or 3x the price on that day, and that's great. But Noko is content that's not created for 90% of the player base, and that's okay. I think perhaps this just comes from the place that I've been in the games world in the past. That's okay. You have to understand that developers will create content for games that is not for you. And maybe I accepted that sooner than most people would, but I think it was extraordinarily important for a large item sync to be introduced to the game. It's fascinating to see it implemented in the way that it was, and it's great that Dave has such good taste in video games that he was able to name Noko after, my game of the year, Claire Obscure. We're just gonna, step past his posting Yu-Gi-Oh in the main chat. Let's just forget that happened. Um, he's gonna drop Exodia and obliterate me now, but Noko is content that's not created for you. And it was great for the health of the in-game economy to cull some of the items that were released in the first 3 months, where there was thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and now there's a couple hundred left, while introducing new items for people to quest after. Awesome. Especially since a lot of those rares are gorgeous. Pink and blue ICM, pink dragon, like gorgeous. I love the yellow bird bath as well, right? Gorgeous. However, however, I think it's time for us to have a conversation about the future of Noko. I think that we might be at a point now. I know we're literally a week away. We're 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 5 days away from the next Noko. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's time for us to talk about how this needs to shift based on what has happened to the community in the last 2 weeks.
Well, that's a good one.
Um,
That's a good one.
the the people that content was created for are no longer here.
True. True. Yeah.
And maybe we can talk about that very briefly in a second. But I do not think that Noko benefits players anymore in the state that it currently does, um, with that portion of the community no longer playing. So we can continue to throw Noko in and having people buying 5 or 10 parasols, and we have 5 or 10 more parasols in the game. But what has that really done for any of us? I don't really think it's done anything, or I don't think it will do anything. I definitely think we need to pause until we can come up with a solution or a new implementation of a rare or gold sync. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there needs to be something to kind of refresh that experience. I'll be honest, I am a Noko hater. I like the
Yeah.
NPCs in the public rooms, but Noko is my least favorite feature ever since it launched day one. And even during the polls, I had my opinions on it. And I'll be honest, I know it's not meant for me because I'm by no means a whale. I think there was like one time I was able to pull it off, but I was just like, I don't want to drop 15 dragons for this item. Like, no, thank you. And the only thing I think I've ever gotten was the duck, the Labubu duck, and that was awesome because I had some ducks. Community helped me out, and I managed to pull that off. Personally, what I would do to refresh that experience, because you're right, the majority of whales are either banned or don't play this game, and those whales also probably don't even spend money on this game for the company. They spend it however they choose to. Obviously, we won't talk about that, but they choose their own ways. But
Yeah.
when it comes to the experience of Noko, personally, I think in order to attract the wider player base, you need to, number one, lower the amount of rares that are being sold and requested, and add in some cool norm ideas. So think about it like this. What if, let's say there is, all right, let's say we got a stone lodge ferny item. I know Frog designed one months ago. I talked about it in a previous podcast. Let's say we have
Yep.
stone lodge items. Right now, Noko this week has a stone lodge bar, a stone lodge door, a stone lodge corner. Done. That's it. Those are the three items. And in order to get those items, you need to put in lodge corners in order to get it. Now, the reason this appeals to the wider player base is because you're attracting people's attention to something so new and refreshing, but you're also giving them the ability to actually attain these items. They can go and attain it right now because they might have it. They can go trade with friends, or maybe they can get the couple remaining items in the catalog. The reason why Noko, as it is now, won't work is because a lot of new players will never get to experience this. A lot of players in general, even you and I, probably still to next week we'll probably look at it and go, well, I'm not still not the audience for this. So I think norms need to be included in a funky way. Maybe that's how they shift Funky Friday. Maybe they do a Funky Friday item for that month, and it's something cool that they can invest in norms, kind of like the Labubu duck. Something cool in that front. And then in
Yeah.
terms of the rares, I do think they need to lower it. I I don't see the point of having so many super rares in that aspect. I would rather personally have the pink dragon, the pink ICM rewarded for competitions. Like allow creator circles or allow competitions. Like imagine a room competition like the one we have right now. The hammers have been used up a lot. And personally, I don't want to see the hammers get stopped. I want the hammers to still be that item forever. However, like let's add in the pink dragon. Let's add in something else on top of that to reward people's time and efforts to keep their interest in the game. So I think that's it. To summarize, I think you just have to do a shift in the rares. Do something funky and unique that attracts norm items, so that way you open the experience to more players. And then maybe think about the aspect of just other ways to implement these new rares into competitions as well. Let's not forget about the other aspects of the game. Having these four new rares every month, are those ever going to be in a competition? We don't know. It's probably not going to be in the catalog. I think that was part of the poll. It won't be in the catalog. So the only way to get specific items is to give like 15 dragons, 10 parasols, 10 of this, 15 of that. Is that the only way I'm going to be able to achieve that? That's the issue that I see personally.
You're absolutely on the right track. You're absolutely on the right track. I love the idea of we're talking about Noko as just once a month thing, right? What if, when introduced at the start of the month, it's I'm thinking about the mint parasol that we just have, right? So let's use that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
December comes, December 1st comes out. The post goes live on Twitter. The post goes live on the Habbo Origins website. The post goes live on the Steam page. The post goes live on Discord. Here's what's coming in December. We're introducing the all the new stuff with Arctic fishing. Here's how you're going to get your penguins. Here is this month's Origins exclusive new rare. Right? Here's the mint parasol. December's rare is the parasol. And the only way to get this one in particular is to participate in the building comp, right? Because we're doing a building comp every month. I
Mm-hmm.
have really been loving them. So not only would you get a cup trophy, but maybe it's the first 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you place in the top 5, you get the rare, the credit, the badge, but you get the mint parasol as well. And then perhaps it's whatever the Creator Club event that month is. Dovak wants to punish us for being so ungrateful, and he's put together the hardest telly maze you've ever played, right? And the first 5 people to complete the telly maze get one. And then maybe it's Baba and Wilf are doing a collaborative stream like the one that they did a couple months back, which was so unbelievably fun. And we've got 200 people all playing Team Baba versus Team Wilf, and the top 3 people on the winning team, they also get one, right? And so every week there's a sort of event, community led, that allows for a small amount, right? 3 to 5 to be given out, plus building comp. So then at the end of the month, you've got, at max 20 of them given away, maybe 25 given away for free to the community. I think that would be awesome. Don't stop the hammer trophies. Dave, please give me a set of cup trophies. Thank you very much. But I would love to see the Origins exclusive recolored rares introduced in that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think having something in the game, something a little bit different, would be exciting, and I agree with you on that front. Let me throw something at you though. What if we have a Noko fisherman that is going to come in one random week in the month? And in that week, it's there not just for one day, but the whole week, or maybe just a weekend. Let's keep it smaller, just a weekend. But the only people that can open this shop are level 99 fishermen or level
Sure.
99 gardeners for a gardening NPC Noko experience. And in that shop is more, rares, but it's not as expensive as what Noko is now. But it forces people to grind these activities to get to that point in order to have access to a cool NPC shop. I think that'd be kind of different. Maybe could be worth a test.
No,
Maybe
I
just
think it's
one
really
item.
fun.
Hmm.
I think it's really fun, and it doesn't have to be max level. You could soft launch it, and it's a
Even
week,
50
and it's
levels.
people
Let's
that are
say
level
50.
75.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Even
yeah,
level 50,
exactly. No,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
think that's actually a great idea. having ways to allow players to continue to engage with skills that they've already maxed out on is gonna be very important for the longevity of the game.
Hmm.
Clearly, Dave is thinking about that. You know, the Harvest event was extraordinary for that, and it'll be really interesting to see what the handful of, I mean, I guess it's more than a handful now, the amount of players who are at level 99 in fishing, what they will be able to get out of re-engaging with fishing, the skill, when December rolls around and we're, cutting holes in ice in our rooms and fishing together. Um,
Hmm.
in that vein, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking like, what if we utilize the skills that we have and reward people again for their time? That's the only way a game truly survives, right? We want, and then this goes for all games. The amount of time you put in, what are you getting out of it? And if you're telling me if I get to level 50, I get access to this cool NPC shop that's coming out next month, hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's check this out. Let's see what, maybe there's a cosmetic or whatever, right? Oh, you tell me level 99 is going to get
True.
this? What? Right? They're going to get a free item if they're level 99, or like access to this cool item, and all they have to trade in is, I don't know, 3 red dragons. That's awesome, right? Or this probably wouldn't fly with a lot of people, but I just thought of it right now. Or you release Noko, you still sell the rares for 15 dragons, but then for the people that are level 99, they get a discount.
No,
I know I wouldn't fly.
no,
It wouldn't fly, but I just thought of that. I'm
no.
just like, it'd be
You,
hilarious.
you might be onto something there with like alt prevention though. You might be something on there with bot prevention,
Hmm.
like sure you can bot and you get 1 box a day, but if you're level 99 in fishing, you get 3 boxes a day or something. I don't
Hmm.
know. That's the worst idea I've had on this podcast so far for sure though.
But the idea of
I
having an entry, like a level 50 entry, is kind of cool to like kind of give a reason. Because right now I don't fish. I'm level 74, I think, right now, and I just don't care
Yeah.
anymore. I don't care about reaching 99 because nothing happens at 99. So why would I go to 99? I just don't care. I don't. I'm
I
not.
am
I don't. It doesn't excite me at this point.
I'm locked in the same way. The only reason why I continue to engage with fishing is because I'm hopeful that one day I'll get the badge. I think the badge is really, really cute. I think it's better than level 99. And I know that there are some people that got it in their 70s, and there's some people that get it really early, and I like that.
Hmm.
So my grind to 99 is it exists solely as a byproduct of just attempting to get the badge. But you hit the nail on the head, like genuinely hit the nail on the head when you mentioned the cosmetics, because the fishing hat, right?
Hmm.
Thinking about, dude, I feel like this was a decade ago. This was like 6 months ago when we were having a conversation about how we wanted to see gardening implemented
Yep.
and what we wanted to get out of the skill. The thing that I kept coming back to was I hope there's going to be gardening cosmetics because I love the fishing hat, and it would be great to see how that improves, how that gets expanded on, and the fact that we got it bundled in with an event, and it was 3 things that genuinely felt like they kind of came out of, like, what's the terminology? Like they came out of nowhere.
Yep.
The fact that we got a wizard hat tied to gardening seems like a
Hmm.
stretch when you put it on paper, but it made so much sense at the time. And also a huge shout out for making that happen with the whole community run Hogwarts popping off at literally the same time.
Yep.
Um, that right there, that's proof that the people who are putting things together are paying attention to what the community is doing. Because that sort of thing doesn't just happen. It's not kismet. Like that has to
Hmm.
happen because people put the effort in to make it happen. Um,
100%.
if there was an opportunity to get more limited cosmetics, I don't want to go the modern route. I don't want to be walking into a shop and trying to buy them. I don't want it to be tied to an NFT. Barf. But if there was an opportunity to, for one Wednesday, right? Noko comes through, and if you have 99 fishing, you can trade for a fishing vest, tackle vest, or if you have 75 gardening, you can trade for a um, shirt, jacket, flannel shirt, or something, or something that has a tree on it, or maybe it's it's an apple bag that your character can hold in the nameplate side of the screen. Little stuff like that, limited cosmetics. I have no problem with it being like, well, you didn't log in for Noco that day, so you missed it. But that's a reminder to not miss it again in the future. You never know what you might get. I would be super down for that. Super, super down.
I don't think I can agree with limited just because I don't like cosmetics feeling like rares personally. However, I do like the chase, so you can always, have something come back. Like it only comes for once a month. So if you don't get it this month, well, you can get it next month. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't want to limit just because I feel like it closes the doors to maybe like new opportunities or new players. And I agree with you on the hat that Goob designed. Awesome. It needs to be able to be recolored. So Dave, if you're listening, let's recolor the
Preach. Let's
hat.
pull that one too. Let's
Let's
pull
re
that one too. Add that to the
let's
list.
let's recolor the hat. Like, come on, like why
Let me
not?
ask you a question.
Hmm.
At what point would you be willing to allow some things to be limited in regards to cosmetics? The reason why I'm asking is, while I do agree with allowing things to be more broadly acceptable to the overall player base, which I do think is very important, I do think that you need to have some amount of FOMO. You have to have it. Don't run the game exclusively on it. Don't be, developing based on scare tactics. But I do think that you need to have some element of FOMO to get players to re-engage. The example I will give is when I was in middle school or high school or something, I played a lot of Gaia online. And it was the exact same thing with Habbo. I loved to collect the stuff, and I loved to collect the Fernie. And I went out for Halloween with three or four of my friends and had a great time, and came back the next day and found out that I missed out on an event that had clothing items that you could only get. It was the very, very first Jack's Halloween event. And those items are now worth like trillions of gold. Their economy is so inflated. It's just fascinating. Um, but then the next Halloween, I was like, I'm gonna do stuff the day before Halloween. I'll do stuff the week before Halloween, but I gotta make sure that I carve time out that day to participate with that event at least enough that I can get whatever the T-shirt is. That's going to be limited that day only. Um, and that had me returning, for those seasonal events because I knew they were going to do them, and I knew I was going to miss out on the stuff. They also did Christmas events and stuff. Um, and at the time, I just wanted to collect all the stuff. So I made sure that I was logged in and participating in the events and engaging with the game in all the ways that it asked me to during those periods because I was, I had the fear of missing out.
Yeah, I understand the FOMO and the need for it. I think the only time I'd be okay with it, well, how would I be okay with it? I would be okay with it if it's still attainable afterwards, but maybe it's more difficult. Like, for example, I think all cosmetics in the game, like the nameplates, have to be available in such a way, no matter when the release happened, and it still needs to continue. So, for example, we have the Neopets. That is eventually the event is going to end, right? And bags will stop. And most of us probably already have the nameplate, for example, right? However, it is still technically attainable because we'll probably still have our maps, our fragments. Maybe we can't earn anymore because the event has ended, but we can still trade with others to get those missing pieces that we might need in order to
I
still
was
get the nameplate.
interested. I was interested in how you were gonna flip that. I was like, I don't think there's anything that you're gonna be able to do to get me to agree with you, but you did it. Um, I
Hey,
actually
I
think
did
that
it.
that's damn okay. So I hear you and I feel you on that one. I got my map yesterday. Shout
Okay.
out to Straggly who like single-handedly put my map together. There were some other donations from a couple of other very lovely people, but like Straggly, in the time that it took Straggly to get like 14 map pieces, I got one. So shout out. I'm so stoked that I have the nameplate.
Hmm.
And I literally posted yesterday in the Discord, I was like, I'm anxious because I'm like 2 away. And if I don't get it and December rolls around and I can't get it anymore, I'm going to be bummed. But that's awesome because I met with a user on. If you can hear my cat meowing, I apologize. She's hungry.
No worries.
Um, I met with a user who posted in the general chat who I've literally never talked to, and they traded me one of the pieces I was missing, and I was like, "This is dope. Thank you so much for giving me a total stranger something that I clearly need." And like we had a conversation. I was like, "Cool. This is awesome. This provided me an opportunity to make a new friend. This is rad." Um, but also like that, I was worried that we were going to log in today after the update rolled through and bags were just not going to drop, and then all of a sudden people were going to realize that like the event was over and I was going
Mm.
to miss out. So like I agree that if you still have the pieces of the map, you should be able to trade them like after the
Hmm.
event so
Hmm.
that it is possible for somebody to somehow assemble the rest of the map pieces like the infinity stones and get their nameplate. Totally agree with you there, but I don't think that that means that the map pieces should drop in perpetuity to
Exactly.
allow
But
people like
exactly.
next
And
year to
that's
get it.
and that's when I'm okay with it being limited. As long as it's able to be attainable, obviously let's remove the fragments being dropped on December 1st. I think this event ends anyways, so don't allow it to drop anymore with any of the activities. However, allow people to still trade their current fragments to still finish and get that map. So that's where the FOMO, I believe, can happen with a limited release of a cosmetic, where it's still available. No one can complain about it. You want to get it? Well, you're going to have to talk to more people and try to get those pieces that you're remaining. So, for example, you were
True.
missing two pieces. Let's say you're missing two pieces. The event is over. Let's say you went on a trip. You come back, you have that FOMO, but you can't bitch and whine because, well, you could still get your map. You just got to go talk to your friends. Maybe your friends have some duplicates still remaining. Maybe they have something remaining that they can give you. So the limited release of that nameplate, quote unquote, exists, but it's still attainable. It's just a little bit harder to get it now,
I like that. I like that. You're onto something.
right? And that's why, like, that's why Maccabee. I would never work for Slaki, but I'm right here, man. If you just want to like have a meeting with me on a podcast, I'll spit these ideas out like I am to Eventual, you know. So, um,
That's the thing that you see on like all the podcasts. It's like somebody shouts at somebody else to be like, "Yo, do you know them? Can you get them on the pod?"
well,
Maccabee, come on the pod.
you know, and I'm someone that I'll never pressure him to get on the pod. I think I sent him one last message in a DM, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done asking him. Now he can come to me. I see a lot of people in the Origins Discord, and by the way, thank you all for like being so supportive and like making this experience like worthwhile. You know, doing this podcast since June, consistently since June, has been fun. It's exciting to like talk to different community members like yourself. And speaking of which, Eventual, let's be honest, everyone listening, Eventual has a badass voice. You know what I mean? He's probably the best voice other than me, other than me. But he's you know one of the best voices out there. He has one of the best voices out there. So but jokes aside, like I think having something like this platform has been very exciting because you know, you presented an idea to me right now where you yourself want limited releases. And I told you I don't want that, but presented an idea and we kind of compromised. We met in the middle. You know what I mean? We listened to each other and we go, you know what? Maybe this can work instead. And we agreed. And I think that's the benefit of having something like this. Because you and I can agree on this. That'd be very difficult in a feedback thread on Origins Discord. Let's be honest. That'd be very difficult to go back and forth and come to a solution where you and I can be like, you know what? I like this idea. Let's go for it.
Yeah, it doesn't the Discord itself does not, especially not the Habbo general chat, does not lend itself to these longer form, more uh, collaborative conversations, we'll say. So having something like this where you talk to people that are not just staff but also community members
Mm-hmm.
for a longer period of time, I think has a lot of value. Especially now, somebody who's listening who hasn't been on the pod and may come on and be like, "Hey, you were talking to Eventual, you were talking to Baba, you were talking to Ryjax, and they said this thing, and it made me, and sparks that conversation and keeps the diatribe going, and in that, can kind of continue to roll these ideas around until they form into something that actually does benefit us all."
Yeah, and that's the point that I wanted to bring this podcast. Like, I wanted to bring in something where it's different, it's somewhat exciting, and an opportunity for us to share feedback and different ideas. Like, my dream, to be honest with you, if I were to make a suggestion to Sulaki, is I'd love to make this podcast an official podcast where I still do my thing with the community members, but once a month we have Mackleby on, and Mackleby and I can go back and forth talking about cool things that are coming, cool things that has happened, and kind of share the community perspective. Let's say you like your topic about this limited cosmetic. We present that to him and we talk about it, and these ideas from the community would be able to be discussed, and people would be able to hear his voice and understand his perspective. Because I think tone is everything. I think reading someone's Discord messages, we don't truly understand their perspective unless we really get to know them, number one. And number two,
Yeah.
until we hear their voice and see how they, you know, say certain words. When do they pause? When do they slow down? When do they speed up? How do they inflect different words? And I think having a monthly podcast, kind of like a Vidoc in a way, right? This would act like a Vidoc, and talk about upcoming things would be so exciting and different. And then let's face it, if you have a new player like yourself, let's say you traveled and you're new to the game and you're like, man, what's been happening in Habbo? Hey, you know what? Here's 5 episodes you can watch to get all caught up.
I want to provide a parallel real quick, if I may. Um, I play a lot of Habbo, but I would say my favorite game of the last 10 years is a game called Escape from Tarkov, and it's known for three things. One of which is the fact that it's got a extraordinarily diehard fan base that is as equally toxic and negative as it is diehard. Um, and the second is that it almost seemed as if the lead developer um, of the game, whose name is Nikita, just fucking hates the people that play his game. And when I brought up a point earlier about how I thought that we should have more streamlined and efficient communication from Dave to us, I was kind of thinking about this. Something incredible happened just over a year ago where the developer of that game sat down with one of the top leading community members for like an hour and 15-minute or an hour and 30-minute um, question and answer segment. And the conversation was literally question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And it was a list of the most important feedback that the community had collected, things that people have been talking about on Discord, on Reddit, in game for months and months and months and months that just wasn't getting addressed. And it was like, are you going to do this? Are you going to do this? Why was this done? Why was this not done? And literally the head dev of the game sitting there answering the questions. And that was like extraordinary. I know, like for myself personally, it reignited my positive feelings for the future of that game. And since doing that, it has now happened, um, I would say probably 2 or 3 times since then. Just primarily because that game itself was lining up to release its 1.0 version, which came out a week or two ago. Um, but I think that there is so much value in having an opportunity for you or another community member who has collected those questions and collected that feedback to actually have an honest to goodness question and answer session with the guy who calls the shots. Um, there's so much value in that. And I'm sure that once a month would be uh, a little bit much, but what if we did it twice a year? What if, in the same way that we were provided the roadmaps this year,
Hmm.
which, listen, are amazing. Like, that's such a step in the right direction. The fact that I went and pulled up the roadmap to double check the fact that I wasn't pulling Arctic fishing out of my ass. I was like, no, wait, we know that's a real thing, right? Like, let me go double check the roadmap. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It says it right here, December fishing expansion, Arctic Dawn. Like, cool. When people were poo-pooing on October and they were poo-pooing on the Steam launch, being able to point the naysayers to the roadmap and say, "Hey guys, like we actually we have proof that things have been worked on and are coming. Things that have been worked on for months and months and months are about to roll out. Like, wait another day, you'll see." To be able to point, send the link, here's the proof is awesome. I also know, like, I'm a litigious like list maker because if I don't have it written down, it's not going to happen. That polling ideas with the community and then jotting them down and locking them into the literally into the community tab, like, hey, here's the roadmap, here's what you agreed that we're going to do, and here's some stuff that I want to do, and this is how it's going to go. I think a can help drive the development process because there's an understanding, like, hey, this is what the community expects is going to happen. And also, like, it allows people to know what's coming, when to engage with the game. They can start planning ahead on how they're going to engage with the game, right? Like October, harvest grounds. Autumn is my favorite time of the year. Like, what if we get a whole bunch of like cool autumn based rares, right? Like, I should make sure I set some money aside for some credits so that I can pick some stuff up. Um, and having that put together twice a year, first half, second half, and then you put in the question and answer session or interview with Dave at the start and in the middle of the year, I think would be perfect.
Yeah, I think it would be. I agree with you because it reminds me of like what Bungie and other big companies do already. You know, with their Vidocs or their Q&As. Like, I think it's so valuable for every single live service game. It's needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think you need that bridge between the developer as well as the community. I do think 2 times a year is not enough. I do think at least 3 to 4 times. So that way it's like once a quarter. I think it'd be healthy, or at least once every 4 months would be healthy. So that way it feels like it's happening a little bit frequent, and then also an opportunity for the community to kind of review what's happened like in the past 4 months and then ask questions about the next 4 months, and then that could be the video in its own right. And
Yeah,
obviously that could never be done
definitely.
live. It would have to be pre-recorded, and which I've told Maccabee that we
Yeah.
could do pre-recording, and I would edit it. Like, there's some stuff in the podcast with Mumio that no one will ever know. The only people that
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
is me and Mumio, and that's it.
I remember
And
you mentioned that it didn't launch like on the same timeline as the podcasts normally do because you had to do
correct.
some editing.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
he told me
It's
exactly what
brilliant.
to take out. There's some things that I had known, and He says, please delete this. I'm like, no problem. Like, for me, when it comes to those situations, we have to be delicate, and we have to be we want to have a good video, but we want to make sure we remove things that shouldn't be said publicly just yet. Thankfully, Mumio, I take that as a compliment, by the way, when someone says, please delete this like 2 minutes portion, because I go, okay, you got comfortable with me then. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Like, thank you
Yeah,
for like
I mean that's the sign of a good
trusting,
podcast host.
right? Like, thank you for, like, sharing that experience with me and trusting to tell me that, and trusting that I'll delete this. And we even talked after the recording too, and I even showed my screen, and him and I, we did a voice call, so we showed each other like our face and we're talking. He also knows what company I work for as well, to show like the validity of what I do and what I do around the world. And he it kind of like built that trust, which is exciting. So who knows what can happen in the future, with Maccabee. And I truly value his opinions. I do troll the shit out of him, because GTA 6 will be the game of the year, and GTA 6 will be better than Expedition 33. All right, you heard it from me first. So
Two
I'll
totally different styles of games, man.
I love it. I know, I'm a troll. But jokes aside, I do think there's so much value, and I think it's needed, especially tackling certain topics of the game, and just for him to just be honest. And then that way, if in case someone else asks that same question, we could always point them to that specific time frame in that video. And I think that would be exciting. Like, whether it's moderation, whether it's events, whether it's Noco or grotto, whatever topic needs more insight, it gets talked about in the video. Someone has a question, well, here's the part of the video where you can get some insight from the one-man show, right?
Yeah,
So
I love it.
I completely agree with that. Now we're nearing the end here. I wanted to give you an opportunity if there's another topic. I know you wrote some things down the past couple of weeks. Was there another topic you wanted to tackle in this podcast, P, as we near the ending portion?
Um, let's see. We talked about Noko. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about a community moderator. We touched very briefly on staff games. I do want to just use this as an opportunity to say that the weeks in which they weren't here and Dave was on vacation allowed me an opportunity to appreciate how important they are. I think
True.
if you're a free to play player, having the opportunity to get this week's rare and not have to pay the money is great. I also like, and I mean this so genuinely. I love waking up early for those. I love waking up at 4 or 5 a.m. and logging in and just standing in line and bullshitting with everybody. I love goofing off with Wilf so much. The amount of days we're doing those staff events, or I've sat here for an hour and had a cup of coffee and literally laughed my ass off because Wilf and I are fighting and like Alexander's like goofing with us and stuff. I love it. I don't think I realized how important that was to me, how much I looked forward to that. Even if I'm not winning the rare or whatever, like how much fun that is as like a community thing. Um, since this last week when we didn't have it, I genuinely was missing it. So I do think those staff events are important, and I know that's all kind of in limbo right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love it if they continue to return. The other two things that I didn't touch on that I do have written down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, I have three. I'm going to do one real quick because it just started today. Today we had something that hasn't really happened very often, which was a permanent addition added to the catalog, which would be, I'm sure you've seen it, but I'm just going to note it. Today's Black Friday. We had the large black TV in the Funky Friday. But it was mentioned in the blog post that a red version of the TV was added to the catalog.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
under
right.
accessories. It's in the second line. It's right next to the large TV. I love that. That's brilliant. That's great. It matches the red portable TV. That's awesome.
Yes.
I
It
think we
actually
need
looks
to
really
be
good. It
as a
looks better than the
community.
Funky Friday
It
one.
looks great.
Yeah, I love it.
They
I
both
love it.
look really good. To be
Yeah.
honest, they
Mm-hmm.
both look really good. And Am I disappointed in the TV as a Black Friday or as a Funky Friday? Yes, I'm disappointed in it. But I saw Dave's post about how TVs always go on sale on Black Friday, and I laughed and I was like, "Damn, he's right. That's funny." So I get it. Like it's very clever. It's very clever. So that's brought me around to it. I think we as a community need to be more open to allowing there to be more items, new items just thrown into the catalog, and they're permanent. And here you go. We're going to continue to add more color to the game, add more variety to the game. Um, I would have no problem if Pirate was in the catalog all the time. I would have no problem if Amberwood was in the catalog all the time. You know what I mean? Like I'm here for it. The other two things, and I just want to, I'll just mention my opinions on them, and then we can cut it there because I know it's getting late. And thank you again so much. Um, the first one is this idea that's going around right now that bots are or alts are capable of mass reporting players, leading to real bans. That then segues into this conversation that the community is having about the ineffectiveness of Zendesk and in the responding to Zendesk is very scary. People are literally not engaging with the game right now because they're afraid that they could be banned because someone wants to troll, someone wants to be toxic. Like, there's a possibility that I go and play Fridge Game and someone does not like that I picked them. Oops, sorry, got my ice cream, picked a kick. You. And now I am permanently banned from the game. And with the issues with Zendesk, I'm not able to get my account unbanned. But then when I go to the official Habbo Origins Discord, I have Mackleby telling me that the only thing that I can do is to engage with Zendesk, and then I have the Habbas telling me that there's no official support given here. This is not a channel for that. Um, that's bad. That's extraordinarily bad. That
Yeah.
is such a glaring flaw in so many ways, and I understand that whether you're looking at W saying, "Hey man, like literally there's nobody here that can help you with that. You have to go to Discord or you have to go to Zendesk. You can't be on Discord." Or you're looking at Dave saying it, or it's you or Proxy or another member of the community who's always in there, always trying to help. Like we will continue to watch the game die so long as that sort of thing is happening. Um, listen, like literally like grab somebody from the community to vet the Zendesk responses if you have to. If you can't get somebody from Sulaki to do it, like please. I don't want to play a game where people are afraid to talk in the game because they could get permanently banned for literally no reason and not have it appealed by a human. Terrible. Have to fix that. Um, the other part is the waves of these silent or like ghost bans that have happened,
Mm.
um, that have culled a very large portion of the active user base. Um, I understand that when you sign up for the game, that you sign a term of service, and that engaging in activity that goes against that document which you've signed is grounds for dismissal. But I think if I, well, I'll be honest, I think it's probably been a little too wide. I think it's been a little too, uh, there's been too many players that have been banned, and I think it's all kind of happened a little too quietly. Um, I literally keep finding out that people are banned, and it's like, you know how this game goes and these sorts of game goes. Like I mentioned earlier, I took a break for a couple months because I had life stuff going on and I was trying to do something big in my life, and I needed to spend my time really focusing on work. You know,
Hmm.
I was working a job that was commission that had commission, and I was like, I need to save up. I need to work as hard as I can to save up as much money as I can so that I can afford to do this thing in my real life, and I'll come back to Habbo when I can, when it makes sense. Um, and I feel like I'm trying hard to choose my words carefully. I feel like this is a game where people will come and go. and this is a game where people will come and go. In the summer, when people were out of college or had more vacation time that they were taking, and the hotel was alive and there was a lot of people here, school comes back around. It's the holiday season. Jobs are more busy. People are spending more time with family. You would expect this period of time to maybe be a little lighter for a live service game like this, right?
Hmm.
But I'm finding out now that there's people that I used to, play fridge game with all the time that are actually never logging back in because they're banned. And I'm like, oh crap. Um, I don't have an understanding of what all of these people have done. I don't have any idea who all these, like, who everybody is. I just know only like a couple people, and I keep finding out more and more about a couple people. But perhaps before we go to cull such a large majority of the player base, maybe it's time to just have like one last warning. Like, hey, we're going to roll into 2026. These are the rules. These are the rules, right? Like, from this point on, moving forward, anybody who engages in this behavior is at risk of permanent termination. And like, give people an opportunity to decide, like, okay, maybe I didn't realize, or X, Y, and Z, choose to pull back from that. This way, we can still have those people playing the game and stop, and they can choose on their own to stop engaging in that behavior. I understand it's definitely a difficult topic to talk about, but
Oh yeah, 100%.
it's it's kind of hard to be as excited about logging in when there are people that I genuinely enjoyed spending time with that are just not here anymore. Like especially, I was really excited for the Hogwarts event, which is community run, and people have spent hundreds of hours planning and prepping for. And like, I'm not going to name any names, but there's a person who was very involved with that who is not here anymore, and the hotel feels quieter for that, and the events feel quieter for that. Um, and that's a bummer.
Yeah, like I'll touch on that briefly, and obviously it's a topic that you and I technically have no control over, but I appreciate it. And I sat here
Yeah.
just listening to your comments, and I can touch on a few of them. In the podcast that I had with Mumio, there was mention on moderation where there will be some sort of revamp, some sort of shift. What that looks like or what will happen, we don't know, obviously. But I'm hopeful to understand that there will be a future with better moderation in general. Now, Zendesk itself supports a ton of different games, although it doesn't really live up to its reputation for us. I do agree with you that there needs to be some sort of a warning for people that like haven't regularly broken the rules. For people that have, and my buddy in the chat is in there, and I know he's we have someone in the chat that's been banned. I'm not gonna say it live on the stream here, and so that way it's in the recording, but he knows who he is, and him and I banter all the time, and I think he's an awesome dude. And when it comes to things with the rules, I think if you regularly break it, you got to understand the risk. And I think there's some things like in the game, like we know you shouldn't be doing, like role playing in these Cenos. You know what I mean? Like, let's face it. If you're doing that, you obviously know the rules. However, for other situations, and I won't mention any of the names of the people that have been banned, but and if there's ever a situation where it should be appealed or at least like give them another chance, I agree with you. Having a warning and also a clear terms of service. You know what I mean? A clear rules and guidelines before the new year. I know Dave mentioned that they were going to make some adjustments and edits, whatever that looks like, whatever we have to agree with afterwards. I think it needs to be cleaned up a bit because I do think it's a little bit confusing in certain parts of it, and I don't think it's very clear, which is why maybe some people are getting banned when they go, wait a minute, why did I get banned? And the terms of service may not be as clear for that reason. I do believe that some perm bans are a little bit excessive. I do think it needs to be a little bit, maybe 6 months would make more sense. Whatever the case, it depends on the issue, and I feel like each issue should warrant a certain length of a ban. So, for example, if you were utilizing bots, all right, let's give you 3 months. You're doxing someone, you're done. You get a hardware ban, call it a
Yep.
day, don't ever come in the
Yeah.
game again. I believe there needs to
Yes.
be a level of security of offenses. I made a joke the other day with my buddy who's in the stream, chatting, where I said, like, if you get banned, you should do your time in the game. So let's say you got 3 month ban. Your 3 month ban doesn't get cleared up unless you're doing 3 months of time in the game. It's a hilarious joke, obviously. It's a hilarious joke, but in all honesty, maybe they can make bans fun in a way, or like, I don't know, give them community service. I don't know, allow them to prove themselves again. Allow them to have a second chance, depending what they were banned for, right? Um,
Yeah.
I do believe
I will
I
say
do.
that the
Mhm,
person who's in the chat right now, who we will not name,
mhm,
is exactly the type of person who I was speaking to,
mhm,
because I literally just found out that they were banned like yesterday or 2 days ago. And when I found out, I was so bummed, because here's a player who I look forward to engaging with, that I've never had a problem with, is always fun to talk to, like only good vibes, only good energy, like not toxic, not a hater, not a troll. And it's like, my experience for having you playing the game is actually like better. This is a game where you're supposed to be interacting with people. So like, shouldn't the people that you interact with provide that experience? You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, that's my diatribe.
Like for
I
me,
apologize
when
for cutting you off.
no, it's all good. No, at the end of the day, it's been a great conversation, to be honest with you, and this has been one of my favorite podcasts. But I do have some ideas in terms of like how they can improve the moderation. You know what I mean? And I do believe it can get to a point that is healthy on both sides. I do also believe that the rules need to be cutthroat for certain people in certain instances. At the end of the day, casinos are not allowed in the game, and for people that do it, like, I don't care what people do personally, but if you're gonna do it, accept the risks. You know what I mean? And that's as blunt as it gets. Um, However, I do believe there needs to be some sort of process and a clear focus. And I do believe people are going to take risks regardless. My focus, though, is that if you're going to ban people that are doing gambling in the game, cool, fine, that's against the rules. But put more emphasis on the people that are creating bigger issues in the game, like doxing and whatever else that they're doing that is ruining the experience for others. Right? Gambling, I get.
Yeah.
You're earning your own ways. You're doing your own shit. Fine, I get it. But other people are ruining experiences in very malicious and rude ways, and I think that needs more eyes, and that's the issue. You know what I mean? The fact that people are getting banned
Totally
for
agree.
these other things, sure, it's against the rules, fine, we accept that. But then you have other people that are not banned in the game that are finding ways to bend the rules, where they're getting their accounts deleted in order to get unblocked now from the person that blocked them originally, and then they remake that account with the same name, and now they're clear and they can now enter the rooms all over again. And there, people are finding different ways to get things done maliciously, and that is the area that I think moderation needs to focus more on. I do believe that Maccabee or whoever Mumio understand the challenges that Zendesk has offered, but there needs to be something. Like, something needs to happen, because they're also ruining the game on the other end for them. Because there's people that are not getting
Completely.
support. There's two ways that really keeps a game engaged and exciting. And number one, it's the back end, which is service, and support essentially, and then the other one is communication with the game itself, right? You secure both those things, and you have a game that is really full of opportunity in order to provide engaging content. And I guess the third point is content, right? You have consistent content in the game, and consistent rules, and consistent communication. You just have an experience that I think will make people a little bit more excited, a little bit more willing to spend money, because the game is pay to win after all. But I do believe we're
True.
on the. It's true, right? I've lost every single room competition, and people say I'm a good room builder. I don't know if that's true, but when it comes to right, but when it comes to this situation, I do think Sulaki needs to kind of have a meeting, do it, because I work for a corporation where we outsource our support as well. I get it.
Yeah.
It's easy to cut costs. It's easy to maintain it that way. It's also easy to pass on liability, right? Because it's not them, right? It's not us. However,
True.
there needs to be something that improves that. So on my side, we had issues with our support side, and we did training. We improved it. We had meetings, monthly meetings, even bi-weekly meetings at some points. And that is needed, whether it's Maccabee, whether it's Mumio, whoever, somebody has to. And it needs to get to a point where they take it seriously, because all the efforts that are happening on the front end is getting affected on the back end. And that's the biggest underlying issue, where you need all sides working together. You need the support, the developers, and the community to make this game as exciting and full of potential and whatever future that it can bring us. And I'm looking forward to it. I have faith in it. I hope people can get appealed, except the person in my chat. Fuck that guy. He needs to stay in my jail that I showed him in game. Um, but jokes aside, I think this game is on the right track. It's way better than last year, and I think someone called me, I think, a shill today. They said I'm always arguing with people that are shitting on the game, and never, like, I'm never shitting on the game, which is incorrect. I'm just very neutral. I like to listen, and I like to go back and forth on a couple things. And I do love. I only focus on the things I like, because why am I going to focus on the shit that brings me down that I have no control over? For example, like, if I have no control over the Funky Friday item, am I going to fucking bitch and whine in the game and in Discord? No. I don't choose the item. If I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it. I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
Right, like, straight up. Like, I'm not going to waste my energy, time, and money on my free time to play this game to bitch about something that I have no control over. Why would I do that? Right? So I'd rather focus on the things that can maybe impact the game in a different way, which is, like I said in the beginning, we need more communication. You and I agreed on that. I think the moderation in the Discord, like right now, there is no mods online. Between the hours of like 2 hours ago and like a few hours ahead, like I think there's like a 6 hour window, there's literally no mods. And that's an issue, and I think they need to get the North American side onto that. I also think that need more hubbas, like more people in the game going around seeing these new players, because there's actually a few new players that have been coming around.
Oh
It's
yeah.
actually quite nice to see, and I think we need it, especially in your time zone and my time zone, because it needs the support, and also the Steam support. Let someone volunteer, because if you think about it, and I didn't mention this earlier, if you go to the Steam page right now, do you even know that Origins has a website and a Discord? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know unless you do more digging onto the store page of the game itself. But once you have the game, there's nothing there, because there's no new news articles getting populated reminding people of what's going on, right? And I think there's so much opportunities to market the game properly. I love the ads that OK does. Truly talented. I love
Dude,
it.
me
Adds some
too.
humor. Absolutely. But his ads are for the players in the game. It is not for new players to get attracted to the game. And I think that's the missing
True.
key That's the missing piece that they need in terms of marketing the game the right way to new players. Okay, truly talented. I love what he does, but his videos are marketing just to us, you and me, people in it. But what about those new players, those other opportunities to see, excite them? What's the history of the game? Why haven't we shown the history of the game? The transitions and the changes, right? Like, where are those content of decades of influence that has shaped the way our lives and the game itself, which is why a lot of us are on because of that nostalgia factor. Why haven't we fed on the nostalgia factor? Why haven't we pulled on from the past of like past content, past ideas, and brought it forward? Other ideas is merch. Why haven't we launched a merch item? I get we shut that idea down the last year, but get an actual good merch item and use that to market the game in a different way. But yeah, I'm obviously spitting out boatloads of ideas right now, and I'm not getting paid for it. So I'm gonna keep some of it to myself. But someone in the chat, I would never wear a Habbo sweater. I wouldn't either, but I wouldn't mind having a T-shirt. You know what I mean, like with a little small H, like on the chest part. You know what I mean, like just like a small H of whatever it is. Like I don't need anything extravagant. I'd do that. Something very subtle, mature, that fits the audience that plays this game, which is an older player base. Although I do feel that some people who are overly passionate are probably 12 years old, to be honest with you. But I do believe that the older player base wouldn't mind something very subtle in terms of merch, a keychain, even like a bottle opener. I don't know, something simple, something easy, something that can maybe shape the way we think about the game, even a plushie, whatever. Right.
Dude,
So I think
like
there's a lot of
literally a
opportunities.
plushy HD sofa or a plushy throne would
Yeah.
would do numbers, I think.
Even a plushie Dave. I don't like whatever. You know what I mean? Like I think there's so much opportunities to
Uh,
really plushie Dave would be hilarious. I guarantee you it would sell. I'm telling you right now it would sell. But I would do a duck, like a plushie duck. Like if I were to choose, I'd do the duck. And I think the duck is so iconic. You know what I mean? HC
I
Sofa
agree
as well.
completely.
I agree there. Iconic items, which I feel like the marketing has not leaned into enough. You know, they focus so much on the throne and the Steam gifts that they forgot the key piece of why people are still playing this game even through the challenges, even through the toughest times, and that's because of the nostalgia, the art, the design. Like what if let me throw out an idea here, and I know we're going over the time, but one last idea for free for Maccabee. Here's an idea for free. What if you had a video of Strong Handle? You don't have to show his face. You don't have to show his face, but you show how he's creating the art. And you have a time lapse video of him creating an art, and then suddenly, boom, everyone, check this out. Strong Handle created this art. You have a video of him designing it from beginning to end. Boom, selling today for 50 credits. Get it today. Done. You have something that has soul and influence rather than something, because I tell you right now, everyone who thinks when a rare is released is like a press of a button, very simple, done, sent. But I think there's some pieces in the game that gets designed, even from like Goob, for example. Imagine seeing how she put in the work and seeing the before and after, or all the rough drafts on different items and seeing how it shapes. I think that would be such a cool video of understanding the work that goes behind the scenes to make this all possible.
I think it'd be great. I think it'd
Right?
be great.
Right? It's a little bit different. Again, free advice. And I'm not even a psychiatrist or psychologist. But yeah, I'm gonna end it off here. We have this is probably the longest podcast episode. But before I do, Eventual, do you want to let people know where they can find you? What do you do in the hotel? What do you enjoy doing? And then I'll close it off.
Yeah, my closing statement is I feel like we are on the right direction in regards to how the game is evolving. However, I think that we cannot afford to lose sight of taking care of the players who are already here. Um, I'm excited to see how the changes to the moderation come through. I do hope that some of the Zendesk issues can get resolved because we cannot afford to lose core community members over reasons as silly as that.
Hmm.
If you need to find me, I'm probably playing Fridge Game. It's it's like my favorite thing. But also, of course, I'm I'm playing Pokemon. You can find me. Uh, Next time that we do some open gyms, come battle me. If you don't have a Pokemon yet, hit me up. We can get that sorted. But also, I'm on Ravenclaw, so I'm spending a lot of time
Hey, go
in
Ravenclaw!
in
Let's
this.
go! Let's go!
Let's go, dude. Not trying to say where our team's packed, but low key crazy. How many awesome people we have. I've missed the last Hogwarts event just due to my work schedule. But if I'm online, I'm doing one of those three things. And as always, Spider, thank you. This was great.
No, man, it was my pleasure. Trav in the chat, he paid to kick Spidey and Fridge. Trav, I'm richer than you right now. All right, just remember that. All right, we go back
I'm
and
gonna
forth. All
fridge
right.
game open after this.
Yeah. But and thank you, Anwaris. Spidercides voice is sexy. You know, and Eventual has a good voice, and I'm so excited for this podcast. I really enjoy speaking with different members of the community. Trav, Trav, that was a low blow. I'm kidding, Trav, you're my boy. But yeah, no, when it comes to this podcast episode, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to really voice your opinion and be vulnerable, right? You're really voicing, your thoughts to, you and I are friends, but you're kind of allowing your thoughts to be out in public. So I know it's such a fun opportunity, but it can be scary at times too. So I appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts, share your ideas, share what makes you happy and what keeps you engaged. And I think it can maybe, who knows what can happen in the future. Maybe it can enlighten, Maccabee in terms of other features being introduced to the game, thanks to what we talked about earlier. So I appreciate this. I think this is the best voice podcast out of all of them. I think this is pretty good. So Eventual and I will probably do this again in the future. I have no doubt in my mind of that. And then yeah, he's a part of the Pokemon roleplay. Professor Oak, if you're out there, where the hell are you? We need you. So hopefully you come back soon from your vacation. But we're also part of the Ravenclaw, and shout out to everyone behind the Hogwarts community. It's been exciting to see that front. Shout out to everyone that hosts so many different things. I see Ferris is hosting something in the game right now. Shout out to you. Anyone contributing anything in the game, even people commenting in the chat right now, supporting, viewing this podcast, viewing any of my stacking videos, any of the content that anyone shares, it means a lot. This is why we do this, is to come to a game that gets us excited of what the potential is, and we know there is potential. I'm excited to see what December brings. There's a lot of stuff coming from the creator circle side, so stay tuned for that. We'll have more details that we can share later, so stay tuned for this. But thank you, Eventual. Thank you to everyone. And for the next person on the podcast, I'll give a tease right now. Ryjax has agreed to be on the podcast.
Let's go.
So
That's so sick.
Ryjax will be someone that I'm gonna message and coordinate with and align on a time frame. And I think that's gonna be exciting. And then we'll see who's on the next one afterwards. But I have faith in this game and this community. If and on a side note, if you think I'm a shill, I probably am, but I'm also a spider at the same time. So I'm also Canadian, so I'm forced to be nice by law. So in terms of this episode, it's been a long one, it's been a fun one, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Eventual, thank you so much for your time. Everyone else, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know who you want to hear next. And most importantly, have fun in the game. We'd love to see you. And let me know if you listen to this podcast as well. Shout out to all of you, and let's hope for the best. And as always, We'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.